The conversation for me doing country from R&B wasn't very pleasant. I walked away from my record label, my R&B label. It's been years of me. I'm from Tennessee, and been years of me being here to work on this country album. And I just told them when I signed R&B, I told you guys that I was a country artist, and there was nothing new or different about it. And it was a fight. I wanted off of that label so that I could do my country music. So it's been a thing. I think my fans are absolutely used to it. They've learned a lot about country artists and everything through the years. So I can say it's a jump for meeting all the new people here, actually in Nashville, but for my fans, they're used to it. What you can expect is traditional, old school country, like the Judds. That's the first thing I ever got was the Judds. And you can expect to cry. You can expect to feel like you have a best friend. You can expect to, shake your booty a little bit. You can expect just a buffet of emotions. My proudest moment from making this album would be hearing my label head say that, so far I have one of the most country album in Nashville. And it feels good. I'm very excited that everyone that hears my album, they don't think about any of this or where I've come from. They just like, what is that record? And I want the world to feel that, and I want them to hear that.
Recently, you responded to a fan who was like, what did they say? They asked if you ever received an apology from Rashida, and you were like, F her. So, like, are you guys cordial, cool?
Hell no.
Yeah.
It's forever. Like, what do you expect from a to open a bistro? If a woman sit in your face and play with you about your abuse and tell you what you did not go through and go through a city to block you from getting your hair done or doing anything over, no, that's up forever.
Yeah.
That's up forever.
What about Angela Yee? Where do you guys stand?
Girl, I don't give about no Angela Yee. Who the do? Y'all the media, y'all be trying to let that girl win. Y'all know that bored as.
Okay, Michelle just sat down with Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay. And what she said about cheating has the entire internet in a chokehold right now. We're talking trending topics, Twitter debates, people tagging their partners in the comments, the whole thing. And honestly, once you hear exactly what she said, you'll understand why. Because this wasn't just a casual all men cheat take, she went into detail. So let's break down exactly what happened, why people are so divided, and what you need to know about her relationship before you make up your mind. First, the context. K. Michelle has been married to Dr. Kasten Sims since 2025. She confirmed the marriage publicly after keeping it quiet for a while, which in itself got people talking. Now, this isn't some whirlwind celebrity relationship. These two have known each other since junior high school. They dated in high school and K. Michelle has joked publicly that she actually stood him up for prom. Over the years, they stayed connected, eventually started dating seriously as adults, and by most accounts were together for about a decade before they finally made it official. K. Michelle herself jokes that it took him 10 years to finally put a ring on it. If you watch reality TV, you might remember them from Marriage Boot Camp back in 2022, where they went on the show to publicly work through their issues. Even then, you could tell it wasn't an easy relationship. Dr. Sims, who is a Memphis dentist and by nature a private person, later admitted on the show that he regretted putting their relationship on television. But despite all of the ups and downs over the years, they're still together. So that's the foundation. A decades-long relationship with real history, real baggage, and clearly a very specific dynamic that works for them. Keep that in mind, because it matters when you hear what she said next. In the Shannon Sharpe interview, K. Michelle said that cheating is not automatically a deal breaker for her marriage. She made it clear that her definition of cheating is different from most people. Her position, as best as people could understand it, is this: she doesn't want to hear about something from someone else that her husband hasn't already told her. No one should be out here laughing, plotting or holding information that she doesn't already have. Transparency is the line. She even made a comment that her husband not being on social media actually makes him more suspicious to her because he's harder to track, not less. She also said that when it comes to other women, the deal breaker isn't the physical act itself. The deal breaker is money. As she put it, nobody should be paying anyone's bills, and nobody should be receiving gifts. The moment money is involved, somebody's light bill getting paid, purses being bought, financial entanglement happening, that's where it crosses the line for her. The physical side of things, handled with transparency, that's a different conversation in her world. And then she went further. She mentioned that nobody is going to be able to come to her and tell her they did something with her man that she hasn't already done or seen. And people took that to mean she's not just aware of these situations, she's involved in them. Shannon Sharpe, during the same conversation, brought up comedian Nikki Glazer, who made headlines for saying she likes watching her husband be intimate with other women as long as there's no emotional connection involved. The implication was clear. K. Michelle's situation isn't entirely different from that, and K. Michelle didn't exactly shut it down. That's when the internet went off. A large portion of people watching came away from the clip feeling like K. Michelle had essentially co-signed a non-monogamous arrangement and was framing it as something close to an open relationship, just with her own specific rules attached. And the responses were all over the place. Some people were dragging her, saying she's been through so much in past relationships that she's essentially given up on expecting faithfulness, that she's normalized something she shouldn't have to normalize, that at some point, if you know your partner is sleeping with other people and you're okay with it, you have to ask what the point of the marriage title even is. Others pushed back and said that's not fair, that what consenting adults decide works for their relationship is their business, that people have different definitions of commitment and monogamy, and K. Michelle is at least being honest about what she wants rather than pretending. The argument there is that more honesty in relationships, even if the honesty is unconventional, is better than silence and deception. And then there's a third camp that thinks she's being read wrong entirely, that her point was never cheating is fine. It was I refuse to be blindsided, that the core of what she said is actually about communication and transparency. And the internet took the most viral clip possible and ran with it completely out of context. Her exact words were that no one should ever be able to tell her something about her husband that she doesn't already know. That's not the same thing as saying anything goes. To some people, that sounds less like permission and more like damage control. Like someone trying to maintain honesty in a world where absolute loyalty feels unrealistic. But here's what makes this conversation so complicated. Even if you give her the most generous interpretation possible, that this is about transparency rather than approval, the way she framed it still made people uncomfortable. Joking that her husband not having social media somehow makes him more suspicious. Saying her definition of cheating might be different for other people, with a shrug instead of a firm explanation. Those aren't the words of someone speaking from total confidence and security. They sound more like the words of someone who has emotionally adapted to something difficult over time. And there's a huge difference between being okay with something and convincing yourself you can survive it. That's why the internet reaction became so divided. Some viewers saw emotional maturity, a woman acknowledging that relationships are messy and choosing honesty over fantasy. Others saw someone lowering her standards in real time while trying to package it as empowerment. And because she delivered it so casually, almost jokingly, people projected all kinds of assumptions onto her marriage. The conversation stopped being about what she literally said and became about what people think relationships are supposed to look like. What's also fascinating is how much this entire debate says about where we are culturally right now. Non-traditional relationship structures have become way more visible in mainstream conversations over the last few years. Open relationships, emotional agreements, don't ask, don't tell dynamics, and modern definitions of loyalty. These conversations are no longer hidden in the background. Public figures talk about them openly now. Podcasts talk about them openly. social media definitely talks about them openly. But there's still a massive difference between people intellectually accepting those ideas and emotionally accepting them when someone says it out loud in a blunt, unfiltered way. And that's exactly what happened here. Kay. Michelle didn't present her relationship with polished therapy language or trendy buzzwords. She just said it plainly, raw, imperfect, human. And ironically, that honesty may be what made people so uncomfortable. Because once you strip away the internet discourse and the viral headlines, what people were really reacting to was compromises. And the uncomfortable reality that a lot of long-term relationships involve compromises people would never publicly admit to. Whether you think she's being realistic, revolutionary, heartbroken, or simply honest, one thing is undeniable. She does not sound fake. This is a woman whose love life has played out publicly for years. She went on national television trying to save relationships. She married someone she's known since childhood. And now she's sitting across from Shannon Sharpe explaining exactly what she can and cannot live with in her marriage. Depending on your perspective, that's either brutally honest, deeply sad, emotionally evolved, or maybe all three at once. So here's what I genuinely want to know from you. Do you think Kay, Michelle is being realistic about relationships, or do you think she's settled for something she shouldn't have to settle for? Is transparency enough? Or does the actual act still matter, regardless of what's been agreed on? And do you think people are misreading what she said, or did she say exactly what she meant? Drop it all in the comments. I want to read every single take on this one. I'll talk to you in the next one.